Everyone, it's me, your hairstylist, your therapist, Jules. Yep, I'm here to quarantine. I'm probably on day 26, something like that. Anyways, I am here with my hair, how it looks today. I washed it yesterday, but and let it just air dry, and this is kind of how it looks. I spared you guys me brushing it out with all the tangles from running around with a 3-year-old and just not having anywhere to go. So I thought I would do my very first podcast to teach you how to go from here to something that's decent looking pretty quickly, and how to use your wand correctly, and kind of how I use products to go from here to a finished look. And mind you, this isn't about perfection. It's not about having this glamorous do, but it's about taking it, kind of how it is on a everyday basis when we're quarantined, and making something happen with it. So you don't need all the tools or all the products that I have, but this gives you an example of kind of what I would do to make it a little easier. So I usually, when my hair is wet, I always use this before I blow dry. It's the Kenra blow dry spray. It's an advanced thermal protectant. All my clients know, and you'll hear me say this over and over again. You have to protect your hair from heat. It is vital, because everyone's like, well, why is it so yucky? And when it gets longer, and they're like, well, I put heat protectant on, but you may not be doing it totally correctly. So I'll show you kind of on one side how I would do it. So I always tell people kind of cut through and give it some really big sweeping motions on the top. And then I always take a wet brush. I wouldn't use, I'll be talking about Mason Pearson's later. This is the best styling brush ever. And I highly suggest that you invest one day. Don't have to do it now, but use your wet brush, because your hair is going to be wet, and make sure you comb it through. So you'll instantly see that I have protectant on my hair as opposed to the other side. That's why I wanted to show you this. So a lot of people will just go like this, and they'll think it's covered. You have to make sure that it's covered, right? So I'm going to get the other side pretty decently. And obviously you can do it when it's dry, but usually we'll be going from a wet hair after you get out of the shower, right? Now, I'll use that first and foremost. My hair is all kinds of directions from sleeping. So I'm going to flip my hair. I'm going to kind of follow what it wants to do today. I'm going to flip it actually the opposite direction, so I get a little bit of volume. If your hair lays flat one way, you can always flip it to the other side, and because of the way the roots are laying, you'll automatically get a little bit of volume. Voila! So I always use pretty much 2 pre-products before I get going on my blow dry or whatever I'm going to do, and I'm going to use the Olaplex Bond Smoother number 6. I love this. It's a leave-in repairing styling cream. It eliminates frizz, prevents humidity from coming in, protects the hair. Again, more protectant the better. And you really got to nail it to get it out sometimes. Hasn't been used because I haven't been at work. So get that in, emulsify, which just means coating the hands like this. And what I do is I kind of rake it through. Again, my hair would probably be, dampish wet right now, but I rake it through, usually from kind of this mid-length area to ends first, because all this new hair is generally pretty, it's healthier. It hasn't gone through the years. I usually flip my head over. I give all the insides. I do a little action like this. And then, no, we're not ready. We have got to brush it through. I've gotten really, as being a hairstylist for 20 years plus, I've gotten really a lot more specific about how I tell people to use products. There's no point of buying a product or a more expensive product and not have it work for you if you don't know how to do it. So there you go. And don't worry if you don't know how to do it. Most people don't. So whatever kind of clip you have at home, I'm going to use my gator clips. This is what I use as a stylus. If you don't have these, you can use just a regular clamp clip. You can use barrettes. You can use, what is it called? Bobby pins, anything like that. So imagine that we blow dried our hair. You don't have to use a brush. Ideally, you just get it wet. Get it from wet to dry. And then all I do when I'm at home, and I tell clients this too, imagine a T part. So you don't have to go in and make this perfect T parting, but imagine that there's a line down your head and ear to ear, right? So I'm going to take that ear to ear, I'm going to bring it forward, and that back part like pigtails, and I'm going to kind of picture 4 quadrants, okay? So here's a quadrant, here, and here, okay? Don't overthink it. And since I'm going to kind of keep my hair on this side, imagine I started my T just a little bit back. So depending on where you part it, do that. Boom, boom, boom. I'm imagining my little T part, my ear to ear from the very top of the head down. And then I pull that forward. It's generally in front of the ear, and this is in back of the ear. And then each quadrant I'm going to break into 2 parts. So I will start with my left side. I'm going to take that front parting. It's it's not perfect. It's just where my fingers separated it. Forgive me if it's taking me a second. I have not used this backwards YouTube motion that other hairstylists have gotten used to. So I'm going to separate that into 2. You don't have to use the clip. You can just do it with your finger. And then I'm going to clamp this away, just so it's out of the way. And anything else, if you need to clamp it away, do, or just push it aside. So I've got this very small section of hair that I'm going to concentrate on. Give it a brush. Now, because mine is a fairly small section here, I've got really, really thick hair, break it into 2. Okay, there's 2 sections. I'm going to keep mine as 1 big section because I'm going to make my curls more of a texture, not a full curl. So that's what I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to keep it simple. Less is more, in my opinion. But again, some people have mass amounts of hair, so 2 parts would be totally fine. And depending on the width of your head too, you might have to do more, but don't overcomplicate it. But you also don't want to have such a big, huge section of hair that it takes so long for it to heat up, because otherwise your curl will just drop. So, and also, so if you have a wand, this is how you're going to hold it, and you're going to go over the head, so it goes back behind, right? So what people tend to do with these, and where they get into trouble, is they'll come forward and they'll start wrapping around, and then you burn yourself because you're trying all these motions that just don't work with the hair. So you're going to practice. You can do practice with the wand or with a brush, just the motion of going from here to here and grabbing, here to here and grabbing. If you want to add counts, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's how you practice with the brush. With my wand, and I highly recommend people that don't have a clamp and they're using a wand, that you use the gloves until you get used to it, because I've burned myself many times, but I'm used to doing that to myself as a hairstylist. So from here, go behind, and I'm going to wrap and tuck. And I'm not even going to put the ends in. So what I want to do is I want to hold this pretty parallel. So you can see my hand there. It's just over the head, and I'm going to hold. And because this is open air, sorry for the cord, that's hilarious. Because this is open air, you can leave it for longer. If it was inside an enclosed clamp, which I love those too for curling irons, then it's a little bit less time. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the end, And I'm going to slide this out, and I am going to hold. I'm going to hold that curl. Now, if I was styling your hair, I would, and I'm trying to get you out of the chair in time, or, you know, nobody wants to sit there and hold their hair until this thing gets cool. So what you can do is take the back. If I had my blow dryer handy, I would use not the front where you blow dry it. I use the back, kind of sucks the air, and I'd suck the hot air out. How you set your hair is you're going from hot to cool. So the reason why people are like, I can't hold curl, that's not true. One, you're probably taking too big of sections, and two, it's probably because you're dropping it while it's too hot. Because when it drops, gravity is just going to take it, and as soon as it cools, it's going to cool straight, right? So even if you hold this for just a second, you'll see I got this little bit of texture going in there. A little bit of a curl. Don't worry if there's like little straight pieces, totally fine. We're creating a little bit of texture there. And then all I'm doing is going to let this down. Now this is a bigger section for me. I'm going to actually take my bang out here. So the bang will come out. And I'm going to do something a little different with that for you guys. And for purposes of this, showing you guys this, I am going to clip that out of the way. Okay, so now I'm going to do that same motion. I think, you know, with this, and for time purposes, normally I would cut this into two, and I would do maybe 2 curls here, going backwards. But for today, I'm just going to hold this for a much longer period of time because this is a thicker part of the hair. I got to hold it longer to get the heat all the way through. And that ends up taking sometimes people longer than just separating it, but for purposes of getting through this video without totally boring you to death, I'm going to stick with the bigger one. So I'm going to point it straight down, and also I'm going to put this behind me, and I'm going to wrap and hold. And so you can see the elevation of my wand right now. I'm holding it kind of 90 degrees outside of the head, so I'm not creating lift per se, and I'm going to show you how to create lift with just a little bit of powder product from a company that I absolutely love. And I don't use very many products. I have my specific favorite ones from a few lines, and this one's called Hair Story, and it's called Powder. And it's a small line. They have a very small line. They have only what you really need. A sudsless shampoo. I'll have a whole nother thing about why you don't need suds for your shampoo. And they have a few other things in their styling line, like a powder for volume. They have something called Lift, obviously when it's wet to create lift. They have something called Undressed, which is for great, beautiful texture if you just want to leave it from wet to dry, and something called Hair Balm, which I love to just put in and let my hair air dry. It's gorgeous. So that's it for their line. So I'm going to, I got thoroughly heated. I could feel it. I could almost feel, when you start feeling it kind of coming through to your scalp, that's when you know it's pretty heated up. So I'm going to hold that. Hold, hold, hold. It's going to be pretty hot in your hands, so you're going to be like, wow, that's pretty hot. But like I said, if you have your blow dryer, just suck that hot air right on out. And even if it's just warm, if it sucked a lot of that initial hair, you're going to be like, oh my God, my curls are amazing. I just held that, and there you go. Okay? And what I'm going to do now is show you what I'm going to do with the bang. And then we're going to fly by, and it'll go much faster. You'll see that I'll do the other side. I might stop and show you the same motion. But again, practice with the brush. Just grab your wand over and back to do the other side. So for my bang, which you can see is many different lengths because I'm doing many different tutorials and actually cut my bangs. So I'm showing you guys how to do your own at-home little bang trim. So with this, depending on, you know, what you're wanting and where you're wanting your bang to go, today, just for purposes I'm just going to go straight forward. I'm going to create just a little bit of bend and leave that end out. The reason why you want to leave that end out is it keeps it straight. I mean, the new texture is kind of loose and undone. You don't want this perfect ringlet curl where you look kind of like 90s little girl. So you want to leave some of this out so it creates a kind of a curl but a straight, disheveled look. And then I'm just going to let that go, pull it out. I'm going to hold that for a sec. Squeeze out some of that heat. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And I like to just rest it and let it curl because we're going to comb this out. But you don't want to touch it. You want it to continue to cool so that next thing you're going to do, once it is completely cooled, this is not completely cooled, but it's getting there pretty quick. Pretty quick, okay? Let's see, this little hair is kind of going out of control. This is my favorite comb, the Kevin Murphy big tooth comb. I'm super picky about my tools. I love this comb. I mean, you can find big tooth combs everywhere, but for some reason, just the feel of it, the kind of carbon that it's made out of, it's just really nice. It's heat resistant. It's not the kind that'll melt. Well, of course, if you sit something on it for that long, it's going to melt, but it won't completely melt. It's not that cheapy plastic. So I just love it. I just think it's great. So definitely check that out if you want a good comb. So all I'm going to do now, this is the part where I kind of, and this is depending on how much texture, again, you want. You can just take your fingers and go through, or what I do is I'll start just doing a little light comb out. So you'll kind of see all the texture lumped together. Now it's kind of lumpy together, and you're like, oh no, is all my curl gone? And it is not. I'm going to show you how to bring that back. Again, I'm kind of flipping it over to give me a little bit more fullness. Even if I start to kind of just use my hands, you'll start to see it texture out a little bit. Not so lumpy, right? I like to also take pieces, break it up like this with just my fingers. So the amount of texture and how you break it up is kind of up to you. If you're the kind of person that just likes a little, then just kind of shake it and go. If you like a lot, then you're going to add probably a little bit more of a product in. This is a brand new line called Air. You can't really see it very well. Sorry guys, I'm still learning how to get the lighting correct. Anyways, it's called Air, and it's infused with quartz and mica. The girl who made this, she's pretty awesome. She crushes quartz down. Quartz is an energy. It brings in good energy. It helps technology around us, believe it or not. If you set a thing of quartz, which is why I have this here, around your technology, it will filter that energy and actually help your signals and stuff come through better. I'm a science girl, so I'm not making this up. Anyways, this is called Texture Air. It comes out really fast and powerful. It's not a hairspray, but it will give you a little bit of grittiness, and it's going to break that texture, and it's going to add what I call air to the hair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray just a little bit. I do short, brief kind of spurts like that. You can also go lengthwise, kind of long, depending on how much texture I want, how much air I want in the hair. It smells delicious too. It's like a really light smell. A lot of my clients, especially my older clients, like I'm 44, and a lot of my clients that are around my age and older don't like those heavy scents anymore. So this is really nice. It's just a very light scent. So I'm going to take that texture I'm going to plump it up just a tad like this. So what I'm doing is I'm plumping the texture, and I'm also combing right over it, so I'm adding that air and twisting. See how much volume that gives you? It's pretty cool, isn't it? And if I take a section in the back, once your hair's set, you don't have to worry about losing the curl. It's always going to be there. It's set, right? So I'm going to take that. I already put my texture in there, so I'm just going to kind of just lightly do a little wrist twist. That puts a little air in there, and then I comb it back down ever so slightly, wrap it around, and there you go. Got some volume and some texture, and I'm really liking how that looks. My bangs need a little bit of hairspray because I have some shorties that are in there that are just kind of looking crazy. And then you just visually look, where do I want to see volume? Is my texture looking good? It looks good to me. I like it. This is just quick and easy. Bangs are a little out of control. That's all right. And I am going to grab, I don't have my hairspray with me, but I do have the hairspray of the Air Close, and that's what I'm going to use to finish kind of getting these down. So you'll see the finished in just a second. See, this side is a lot more voluminous on this side. So again, it's all dependent up to you. You can just shake it and go, whatever you want. Here's my hairspray. This is the Air Flexible Hold Hairspray. This one's infused with rose quartz and green tea. Rose quartz bringing in love and affection and adoration into our lives, we hope. So you'll see it has a nice hold, but it's workable. I can put my hands right through it. So more hold, more spray. But no matter what, it's a workable hairspray. Again, if you don't want the lumped together look, take pieces, texture it out. Oh, I'm so glamorous. So glamorous. I mean, that's a heck of a lot different than how you first saw me. So, here it is. There's my finished look. And, you know, from here you can use pins, you can do whatever you want. But I got a lot of volume out of doing just texture. And I didn't even add anything, I didn't tease. This all has to do with just kind of how you put texture in the hair. You can add more, less, whatever. I did tell you I was going to show you the powder, which I have right here. Hair Story powder. If you guys have not used powder, it's, whoa! Top came off because I twisted it too much. Hair Story powder. It looks like that, little puffs. This is awesome for braids. It's awesome for really big texture if you need that grit. If your hair's like really, really super, super sleek and straight and you can never get volume, this is a great one. You can use this before you put curls in your hair if you need more grit. But let's just say I want a little bit more at my crown. I'm just going to kind of open it up a little bit. Do a couple little poofs. Boop, boop, boop. I take my hand. I shake it. And there you go. See all that? So yeah, from there, once you get that volume, then you take your brush, your fingers, and then you place where you want it to go. And then you're out the door. Or, honestly, now we're not out the door. We're in the door, but at least you look good. And you feel happy about getting something done. So I know this is a tough time for all of us. We're in it together. Stay healthy, stay safe, practice doing some hair stuff. You'll be surprised what you can do on your own. And just my advice to you is don't worry about perfection. Just give it a go. And email me, text me if you have any questions, and I'll be there for you.